So thank you for joining us. And can you give the viewers a little bit of a brief introduction about your work and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Rushta. And so I'm Saleema Razvi. I am an economist and I work with a research think tank which basically analyzes public policies and public investments across the world, looking for the most cost-efficient and cost-effective policies that a country can or a state can implement for achieving their development agendas. Yeah.
Okay, so today you spoke about the gender divide in a technological era. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, sure. So what exactly is the gender digital divide that we are talking about? It's basically the unequal use and access to knowledge, information, communication technologies compared between women and men, compared across geographies, rural and urban. And what are the causes for that? I mean, obviously the most obvious causes are, of course, lack of access, lack of education, affordability is an issue sometimes, and digital illiteracy is a problem. These are some of the causes. But for me, I think the more important underlying causes are much more systemic in nature, and those are the ones that need to be addressed. Those are, of course, inherent biases that exist in our society, socio-cultural norms, and again, the inherent patriarchy that exists that doesn't allow a girl or a woman to have access to a mobile phone just because they think that this is going to ruin her. Exactly. Yeah. So that needs to be overcome because digital exclusion, I see it as a huge challenge across the entire world. Developing most of the lower middle income countries, we're finding that it impacts women's empowerment, it impacts gender equality and gender equity, both of which are very crucial and important. And ultimately, it excludes women from opportunities at achieving a proper education, employment opportunities, and also, for me, one important challenge is that it excludes them from any kind of social participation. When a woman is not seen as a valuable, productive member of society, that effectively disengages her from society, so to speak. She's no longer a part of the...
So yesterday somebody had mentioned that if they don't have a digital presence, they don't have a presence at all.
Exactly, yeah.
So coming to the safety issues, in the digital world, we see a lot of cases of cyberbullying, we see cybercrime, and especially for women, these are valid concerns.
Absolutely.
So what do you think would be the way forward? Keeping these things in mind, how do you give women access, or how do you make it a safe space?
So I think we need to have proper regulations, definitely. Regulations which are implemented, not just regulations which remain regulations on paper. And I think a lot of, we need to communicate to the women, to the children, to the girls, to society basically, as to the different kinds of issues that can be faced and how to overcome them. A lot of issues arise just because people don't know. Girls, teenage, young adolescent girls who suddenly have the world at their fingertips. They don't know it's not safe to be talking to random strangers online. They don't know it's not safe to be sharing personal information. You have girls sharing photographs, for God's sake. I mean, that little bit of, inculcating that kind of standard behavior, good protocols is necessary. And it's not difficult. It's not difficult at all.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, and so coming to employment opportunities, not being part of a digital world curbs the opportunities.
Absolutely.
So what is the gender divide in terms of employment with technology?
Okay, so this is a statistic I quoted in the discussion that we had just a little while back, and the UN Women's Gender Snapshot Report states that because of digital exclusion of women, low and middle income countries are facing a $1 trillion loss to their GDP over the last decade. And if the situation doesn't improve, that could even go up to $1.5 trillion. That's huge. That's a huge economic hit for anybody to take. And for India specifically, India contributes about 50% of the gender divide, right? So in effect, we are facing or bearing the brunt of 50% of that $1 to $1.5 trillion loss. For us as a country, a developing country still, I wouldn't call us a developed country at all. That's a huge hit to take. And when things can be improved by just allowing women access to good, safe employment opportunities, by ensuring that they are able to access digital infrastructure easily. They don't have to go like hours away which is a huge hindrance and obstacle, right? But these simple policies, there has to be some political will towards including women in the workforce, towards improving the condition of the labor female work participation rate is 23.5%. Compare that globally, it's at 50%, which itself is terrible. But when you look back in history and you realize that 2 decades back, our work participation rate for women was 30%. Why have we fallen? I mean, we should have been moving ahead, right, with the times and with the world, but it seems like India is going in the reverse
backwards
direction. Yeah, which is unfair and very, very unfortunate.
So apart from policies, there should be skill training, vocational training. Well, that's a separate issue, but skill training with new software, skill training with essentially anybody who has a mobile phone can work from home.
Exactly.
So what suggestions do you have to improve participation just using technology? Is that possible? That's one. And the other thing is, how would you suggest giving access to women or girls for this particular type of employment?
Using phones.
Or using technology.
So in Telangana and Andhra, the SHG culture is huge, the self-help group culture. I think that's a wonderful platform to start with. First of all, like you said, spread the message of this. Impart some behavior change communication training, because not just to the women and the girls, but all the men also need to be trained in understanding that using technology is not a bad thing. It's not something that is going to take your girls and children away from whatever they're doing. But education is key, I think. Skill training, definitely yes. And I think to everybody, whether it is women of any age group, whether it is to girls who are still in school, whether it is to women with disabilities. I just think that all women need to be reached out, need to be trained, need to be guided on how best to use digital technology. I mean, it's not easy because, like I said, only 11% women actually own a phone. Even if there is a phone in the household, that is most probably likely to be in the man, the head of the household, in their hand. We have had these digital health interventions where it's just like small reminders sent as text messages on normal, those regular phones. And very often the woman doesn't even get to see it because the phone is with the husband and the husband is out somewhere working. So that's
a big
huge challenge. That's a huge challenge. Improving ownership of mobile phones, improving usage of mobile phones, and understanding how it can be used to the best.
So the conclusion that I arrived to from this conversation is that technology is good. I mean, it can be good or bad. It is good when there's prior training, when people are taught, when girls, men, or both, when everybody is taught how to use it. And it could be bad when people who aren't aware, who aren't digitally literate, start using it for things which shouldn't be used.
I wouldn't say technology is bad. I would say that the channels for which it is used or through which it is used, it's unfair to paint everybody with the same brush, right? So in any population, in any sample, there will be 5 bad eggs out of 100, right? So you can't generalize like that. But definitely, yes, there has to be some knowledge imparting, some kind of training which will enable women to at least ask for their rights, if not,
and of course, cyber laws to prevent.
Regulation is also very important, like in any sector. Regulation of laws, regulations which will give you that sense of safety and because that's such a huge issue right now. Cyberbullying, cybercrime, sex crimes online, it is crazy.
Okay, so coming to the end, what do you think is the potential that we can reach if everybody is given, all the girls, all the females, everybody is given access to technology and taught how to use it? What change do you see happening?
Enormous. I mean, 50% of India's population is women, right? And of that, I think about 35% are in that 15 to 60 year age group, 15 to 60 years age group. So just look at the potential. You have this huge, sizable number of eligible, employable, intelligent, I'm sure, women who have the potential. So it's just waiting to be tapped. I mean, it's because the potential for technology is huge. We're seeing
It's
that.
enormous.
I mean, it's enormous, and we don't even know the boundaries of it. So it's just anybody's guess. I mean, I'm sure, and getting more and more women into the workforce is going to hugely impact the country's economy. So it's just a given that you get more women into the workforce, the economy is going to improve. So what's to lose?
That's good. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your words. And that's it.
Thank you so much.